Hello everyone, I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media. Thank you so much for joining us. We are, of course, in the Virgin Islands celebrating our Emancipation celebration. And part of that is our Freedom March and Emancipation service, which will be held on Sunday, August 6th, 2023. Today I'm joined by the chairman of the Heritage Committee, Dr. Melvin A. Turnbull, who's going to discuss this event. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
When you're in need of air conditioning, installation, repairs, or replacement services, Markinson Air Conditioning and Refrigeration has the professional technicians, equipment, parts, and ACs to get the job done right. Markinson Air Conditioning and Refrigeration carries top brands like Daikin, Aircon, Mitsubishi, and more. We're open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Located in Fish Bay. Telephone 340-4114 or 343-9511. Markinson Air Conditioning and Refrigeration, providing exceptional services to the British Virgin Islands since 2015.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, son.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you? You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Welcome back everyone, and thank you so much for your time. As said, you are watching 284 Media, and I'm Ron Grant, joined by Dr. Melvin A. Turnbull, chairman of the Heritage Committee. Dr. Turnbull, it is always a pleasure. Welcome back.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure being here at 284.
Indeed, as I mentioned, we are once again celebrating our Emancipation celebration, particularly through our Freedom March and Emancipation service. The theme this year is Stronger Together. Tell us about this year's observation.
Yes, thank you, Ron. This year is special. This year is actually a precursor to a number of things.
Okay.
One is a precursor to our 70th anniversary, the way we celebrate our freedom. And it's also a precursor because I'm getting ready to pass the baton.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to tremendous things. Now, it's been a struggle getting here. We have gotten involved in this march and this emancipation service on the national level since 1997, and God has been very kind to us, and a whole lot of folks have been very supportive. And so we want to really encourage the community to stand together. The theme is very strong, stronger together. Now, as you know, Ron, we have come out of a lot of stuff here
Indeed.
as a territory. We have been through a lot. And history has shown that when we are together, we are very strong and we do great things. And because of all of the things we have been through together and are still going through together, it is important that people appreciate what it means to come together. You might have noticed as well, we're losing quite a bit. We're losing a sense of standard. We're losing a sense of direction, it seems. We have been plagued with crimes and a whole lot of different things. And so as a people, we need to come together. Everybody has a cause. I believe that all of us in this territory love this territory. We may have different approaches, but we have a love for this territory. So I'm going to ask us to come together, because when our forefathers were emancipated, it was not just some of them, it was all of them. And so this emancipation celebration is for all of us. And so I want to really encourage people to come out. Let's stand together. You have a cause, and there must be a cause that is bigger than yourself, bigger than myself. And that's why we are involved in this. It's not because we like the spotlight, but it's because we like to light the light. We like to make sure that somebody else can see their way. I grew up knowing a song that says, let the lower lights be burning, send the gleam across the way, some poor struggling seaman, you know that.
Indeed.
You may rescue, you may save. And so most people have a tendency of wanting to curse the darkness. Our approach is, in fact, no, don't do that. Let's light a candle and make sure that somebody has a way to walk through.
Understood. And in lighting a candle, of course, the Freedom March and Emancipation Service. Tell us about the day of activities, that afternoon of activities.
Yes,
we do have a guest speaker.
Yes, we do. We do. The activity starts with the Freedom March. And again, that's very important, very symbolic of our freedom. So we decide to start, as we have been doing for many years, from opposite Government House. That's symbolic, from the Massa, okay? And then we all march all the way up to the Sunday morning well. Again, that's symbolic. That is one of the places, there's always debates about
Correct.
that, where the Emancipation Proclamation was read. So opposite the Government House, Massa, to the Sunday morning well proclamation is where we march. And we're going to have live music, of course. This year, we're going to be joined by a number of friends. I'm very excited about this year. It's been difficult, but this difficulty has forged a lot of alliances. And so I often tell people that when it looks like it's falling apart, it's really coming together.
Okay.
And so it's coming together so well. One of the special guests we're going to have are the Bay people.
Okay.
Cane Garden Bay. Now, everybody calls different bays, but there's only one bay. That's Cane Garden Bay. And they're having a reunion of which I'm a part. And we're having friends from all over coming home to visit and to share. And it's going to be an exciting time. So they have decided, since we're doing the march and they know about it, they've decided to come along and join us. And let's come together. So we're going to have a whole lot of Bay people in town.
All right.
And so we invite them, all the other folks, everybody, to come together. But we're going to also be joined by the Virgin Islands Cadet Corps. And they're going to be joining us this year. And we're hoping that, again, all the churches, I'm really appealing to the BVI Christian Council, all the churches, even if you're not a part of the council, all faith-based, all organizations, all individuals, everybody, nobody is left out. Let's come together and let's find out how strong we can be when we do come together.
All right. Bishop, I have to ask you, are you a member of the BVI Christian Council?
That's correct. I am more than just a member, part of the executive. I'm actually the PRO for the BVI Christian Council.
Wonderful. I'm happy I have you here because I have some burning questions. Is that okay?
We can segue, I guess. Let's try it.
So you mentioned earlier that we as a country have, and I may be paraphrasing your statement, but we've strayed. We've kind of fallen off. And you mentioned violence. You mentioned some other issues. Violence has been a conversation, of course.
Yes.
As you know, there's presently a case before the High Court. The 4-day trial has been completed, but the BVI Christian Council joined the Attorney General as an interested party in opposition of that union being recognized. When it comes to the public perception, I have to be very honest with you, from an outsider looking in, many persons have taken statements from the Christian Council, whether it be in regards to the type of music that is being portrayed in our festival, and then we go to the recognition of the same-sex marriage. Many persons have seen the council as, in many cases, weak and silent on a number of issues. We have issues such as gambling. There is the marijuana law, and the council was silent
Yeah.
in both of those issues.
Well-
But now that we're approaching our emancipation celebration, there is this talk about promoting violence through our music. And then in addition, the council is also very vocal on the matter of same-sex unions. It comes across as hypocrisy. It comes
Okay.
across as the council is speaking on matters only of interest to them. What do you say to that as a member of the council?
Well, first of all, let it be known that I'm a new officer.
A new member. Okay, fair enough.
And so I have a big job. That
Okay.
is to reshape and shape the council and to make sure that we are addressing not some but all of the issues. I will disagree with you in the sense that we have been silent. True, maybe not as a body making statements and so forth, but you would know that I, for one, have always been vocal, have always been active, and always speaking out. So as far as the council is concerned, I can't speak for the council at this point. What I do know is that we have a lot of work to do. We try to make sure that we restructure and we be stronger together. The matter of same-sex is a very topical issue. I have spoken out very strongly about gambling and a whole lot of other issues, and there are other pastors as well who've done the same. But as proper, the Christian Council may have not been as active as it should have been. That has been changing, and it will continue to change. And so I'm not going to spread any negative light on the Christian Council. And people have their opinions because we live in a democracy. I understand that. We cannot address and talk about every issue. However, I do agree that it seems like the church has been silenced. I myself have been saying that. Where is the church? Why aren't we speaking up more? And here's the irony, Ron. The same folks that criticize the council or the church for being silent also criticize the Christian council and the church for speaking up. What do you want?
Okay.
And that's why we have to take our mandate not from the public, but from the master. It's not every issue that we can address, but we definitely need to take a stand. And so when it comes to violence, we speak out against that. When it comes to gambling, we speak out against that. And the matter of same-sex is a topical issue, and I want to be very careful here because people think that we speak hate when we speak about same-sex. No, by no means. We love all people. We minister to all people. However, we need to understand, for me, when God speaks, I don't have an opinion. And the Bible is very clear about same-sex marriage. Romans chapter 1, verses 26 on down, speaks expressly as well as other passages of Scripture. So I don't have an opinion when God speaks. God has already spoken. It's a question of whether we want to follow God or we want to follow our own whims and fancy. So here's the thing. While we speak out against same-sex, we need people to understand that we love all people and minister to all people. And if anybody has really been categorizing anybody, it's not the church. It is these minority groups who feel that they must impose their will on everybody. We don't do that.
Okay.
But they do that. We don't call names, but they do that. And then we are criticized for that. So if we have a standard, let's keep it. We're losing a lot. There's abuse, a lot of abuse going on. And the list goes on and on.
I agree with you.
We are, as it were, facing a crisis of leadership. And no, before you start pointing fingers, I'm not talking about politicians and preachers, though they are included. I'm asking, where are the civic leaders? Where are the people with conscience? Where are the people with convictions? Because we must hold the politicians, we must hold the preachers, we must hold the territory responsible. We can't sit back and say, let them do it, and when they do not do what we want them to do, we criticize and we get bent out of shape. We have got to be active all of the time. It can't just be a few of us. We need more of us on board.
Okay. I'm glad that you mentioned that. In a prior interview that I did, the individual highlighted that our emancipation celebration was essentially started by the church.
Correct.
Through the Methodist Church. Also, over the years, it was highlighted that the church has seemingly pulled away from the emancipation celebrations. We have the Emancipation Service and the Freedom March, that's one. We have the Gospel Fest
Yes.
that opens the village. When persons say that the church who initially started the emancipation celebration have pulled away from it, and in many cases, for lack of a better phrase, want to seem like they want to shut the festival down. As a leader of the gospel, what do you say to that?
I don't know where they get that story from. It's amazing how people create their own narratives.
Okay,
And so often, we take other people's narrative as gospel.
Okay.
I may have missed a lot, but I don't think I missed that. I've always been saying to folks that it is the church that started the festival or the emancipation celebrations. In fact, back in before 1954, it was known as Fête and the Field. And it was the Anglican Church as well as the Methodist Church who alternated the leadership. And then I often say, every year, the church dropped the ball in 1954. And that's when other groups took up. And so that's why now, in 1997, Pastor Mel, his little self from the Bay, said, listen, I don't like the way things are going. So I got me a group of brothers and sisters who believe that we need to step in, not as judges, but as ones who can spread and show some light. So while we were celebrating our emancipation and our freedom on the church level in King Garden Bay, in the village, in the Bay, we said, no, that's not good enough. Let's take it to the national level. We made representation to many governments after government, and they made promises after promises. But it was only in 1997 that we actually got the leeway to do what we are now doing. And then in 2004, through proclamation and council, we got the month of August to be declared as Heritage Month. The church has always been active. I will agree. I can't speak for everybody. Not everybody shares my vision. Never everybody understands that the world is God's world. And there are no limits as to where we can go. There are some people who shy away. I've gotten criticism, for example, of Gospel Fest. Why would you have Gospel Fest in the same village that they have all this thing going on? I asked them, what is your problem? Where would Jesus go? What would he do? Why do you need light? Isn't it because it's dark? Why do you need a light where it's bright? You don't. So if you have an issue with that, then you have an issue with Jesus. You would find him in the marketplace. You will find him out there. So the question is, has the church lost its vision and its mission? And we have a lot of people that are confused. But I am certainly not. I am sure about my mandate. I am sure about what God has called the church to do. So I don't know. The narrative is not correct all the way. Yes, there's some of us who are not doing as much as we should. Yes, there's some of us who do not understand who we are and our mandate. But I don't want to say that you're going to put everybody in the same bundle.
And that's fair enough. My final question on the matter is when it comes to a lot of the music that is portrayed in the festival village. I'll be very honest with you. I was driving down the road a few months ago and really engaged. As you know, I love music. And I was in my vehicle and I started to jam.
You were jumping?
I was started to jam.
All right.
It took me a while, however, to realize that the song that was being played was a gospel song. I'll be very honest with you. I like my Great Is Thy Faithfulness. I like my Blessed Assurance. I like all my good stuff.
I hear that.
That portion of the music is not my personal taste.
That's fine.
Right? And that's fine. When we look at the music and the choice of music, the church has been very vocal on some of the selected artists that are coming to our emancipation, many of whom say that from your end on the Christian society that they're promoting violence and it is not wholesome to the entire image of what we should be portraying as a country. What are your thoughts on that? Is that a case that you agree? And furthermore, why does it seem as though selective artists are being chosen and ostracized. When you look at the entire plethora of cards, just about every artist, if you want to talk about lyrics and dissect lyrics and what they would mean, just about every artist on the card would fall into that. But in hindsight, when gospel music sounds like the music that I would jam to in the club or in the village, am I not supposed to be confused?
Well, music is music. Again, the narrative needs to be straightened out. The music that you hear a lot of these artists playing nowadays actually originated in the church.
Of course.
Most of these artists actually started in the church. If you're talking about lyrics, that's one thing. If you're talking about genre, that's another thing. So what are we fussing about? Is it the lyrics, or are we fussing about the beat? Because I know there was a time.
Yeah, you gotta tell me.
There was a time, for example, when you couldn't play a drum in our local churches. That was sacrilegious. You'd be thrown out. Now everybody has drums. What is it? Education and understanding of our history and who we are. The drum came from us as a people. So a lot of things that were frowned upon was some things that were imposed on us by someone else, and we didn't have an appreciation for our own history. Now, I don't know when you say the church. I haven't heard, except for one or two persons, talking publicly about it.
It's been a public conversation.
However,
particularly this year.
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. There's a bigger issue here. When I was growing up, as I said to someone in a different forum, it was easy, because you're talking about confusion. It was easy for me because the church said one thing, the school said the same thing, and the society said the same thing. So all three entities were on the same wavelength. There was a standard. There were some things you did, some things you didn't do.
So the church and the state were not separated?
Well,
or they were not two?
You see, that's
entities.
another narrative that people get confused when they talk about separation of church and state. The only problem is when the state get into the church must be in the state. In other words, God must be everywhere. So you can't let the quote-unquote secular world dominate the world. That's what Paul was talking about in Romans 12. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You and I, as believers, we have a mandate to take the gospel to the world. How else are you going to impact except by contact? That's what salt does. And how else are you going to be effective if you don't let your light shine? And again, it makes no sense to just shine your light in church. The darkness is really outside.
Okay.
So, getting back to the music, because there's so much to be said.
It is.
Yes, for me, the problem and the issue is much bigger. The violence, for example, because all of this comes from this, because a lot of the music promote that. It's a matter of the home. The question is, the leaders I talked about, civic leaders, they didn't include parents. Where are our parents? Are we raising our children, or are we allowing someone else to do so? There's a problem when mom and daughter are coming home at the same time, wee hours of the morning. It's a problem when we are working so much that we don't have time to sit down and talk. It's a problem when we don't even consult the scriptures, have devotions as a family. It's a big issue.
Okay.
So how do we fix this? Because I'm more into solution. I can talk about all the stuff that are happening. And I would say, because like I said, I don't like the spotlight. I just like to be the light. And of course, if you're light, you're going to be conspicuous. I wish, and this is part of the dialogue that we must continue to have, and going back to the Christian Council, as PRO, this is part of my assignment to make sure that we have some conversations and address all these issues in a holistic fashion and getting us all on the same page. We're going to have differences. And this is the problem. For me, the bigger problem we're having is the divisiveness of our society. We are dividing ourselves too much in so many different ways, whether it be music, whether it be whatever. And for me, this whole theme that we have selected is so relevant, and it came out of a struggle, stronger together. You different to me, I'm different to you, but we all, each of us is valuable. So the violence we don't need. So anything that promotes, and this is the whole question of having a vision, who we are and what we want to be and look like, that will decide what we let in and what we do not let in. And that's why I said to you earlier, we have lost a lot. We seemingly have no standard, so anything goes. So if we come back to finding out who we are and setting the standard, then together we can say, listen, this is not conducive to who we are. This is not conducive to where we're going. I'll give you an example. When we started, very little, if anything at all, was said about emancipation. It was all about frolicking, frolicking. We've been able to change that. So the narrative is now emancipation celebration. Now, of course, some of the things that we say and do begs a lot of question as to what we're doing.
Understood.
But at least we have a consciousness that is emancipation. And we're not going to fix everything overnight, but I think we can do it together. So this dialogue that we're having is a good start. And
Well,
I don't think that you expect me to answer all the questions.
Absolutely not. But I want to make a public appeal and a public
Yes.
presentation here as PRO. And you did mention about being new to the council in some regards. I would like to extend publicly an invitation to the council to come and have as many conversations as possible. And you mentioned the word decisiveness, so that the council doesn't come across as they're being decisive, so that they don't come across as though they're picking and choosing on what issues they want to speak about. Whenever there is an issue in the Virgin Islands that is of paramount importance to the BVI Christian Council, whether it is gambling, marijuana, same-sex violence, you have an open invitation from myself and my team at 284 Media to come and speak on those issues. As a matter of fact, I want you to come and speak on all of those issues.
Well, I appreciate that,
Okay.
and you know that I've been speaking.
Okay.
But now, in the capacity of PRO and in the capacity of BVI Christian
I'm
Council,
leaning on you to make that happen.
I will definitely consult with the president
Okay.
and make sure that we follow the vision and the directions that he wants us to go. And so together as a group, I don't think it should be a problem.
Wonderful.
We must work together. And again, the theme is stronger together.
And Stronger Together on August 6th, the Freedom March and Emancipation Service will take place. The march begins at 3 p.m. sharp. We want to encourage persons to meet at Government House. All right, and we're going to march up to the Sunday morning well. The Emancipation Service starts at 4 p.m. I want to ask you about your guest speaker.
Yes.
You mentioned about
Yes.
the artists, but who are some of your speakers?
Well, our guest speaker is actually local. We've decided to stay purely local this year. And it's a young man that I have seen grow up. As a matter of fact, he served as my assistant pastor at King of the Baptist Church. He then moved on to New Life Baptist Church, became the senior pastor. And very recently, he has stepped down. His son has now ascended to that. So that's Bishop John Ivan Klein. He's our guest speaker for this year, and we're looking forward to a tremendous time. We have a number of young people involved in singing, in drama, in poetry. The program is exciting on the Emancipation Well. So again, let me make the appeal to all of us to come out. We're not going to agree on everything.
Agreed.
You know, what I find strange and not so strange, Brother Ron, is this. The people that do nothing are often the people that say so many things. I would suggest, rather than using your energy in a negative way, why don't we sit down and have a conversation? Let's see how we can solve these problems. Because we have a lot of problems, a lot of issues in this territory, but they're not beyond our reach. We can do it together.
Absolutely.
And so that would be my greater appeal, rather than pointing fingers. And I am just tired of it. I've said to folks, no matter what great story you write and put out in the media, by the time you see it, you can't recognize it. And then
Agreed.
don't talk about the blobbers. Well, I have not been on these platforms for whatever. I've chose not to. I just can't be bothered with all that negativity. If people are willing to discuss the issues, I'm there. But if you could be talking about personalities and calling people names and you don't even know them, lifting up their mother's clothes and all that kind of stuff, you have no respect. I have a problem with that. I have never shied away from issues. Great minds deal with issues. Small minds deal with people to cut them down.
Agreed.
We don't need to do that.
And we need definitely by far, you mentioned about the blogging, and that's an entirely different conversation, but the narrative across our country needs to change from the highest to the lowest of individuals in our society. I agree with you.
It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. So God's been kind to me. I try to be kind to people.
Beautiful.
You can almost do anything to me and I probably won't do anything back to you, but when you start messing with my family, that's a problem.
I understand.
And my family is not just my blood family. When you start messing with the people of God, I don't even have to fight you. My father says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And so a lot of issues and a lot of things I just don't hear because I've decided not to go on there.
I understand.
I got to keep filling my mind with good things and producing good
focused.
things and stay focused.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you again for stopping by. And again, on August 6th, people of the Virgin Islands, you want to join the Heritage Committee for the Freedom March and Emancipation Service, Stronger Together, and that is what we will continue to aim for. Dr. Melvin Turnbull, thank you so much for your time.
Fine, man. It's all right.
All right.
We cool.
Viewers, that's all the time we have. Have a beautiful rest of the day.